All right, well, welcome to our BiGeekly Chats podcast. Today we are chatting about, if you didn't know already, Stranger Things, ladies and gentlemen, seasons 1 through 3. And of course, I am RedOnBrandon, but it can't be a BiGeekly Chats episode without your cutest enemy.
Who's that?
Where?
Where? Who?
Why?
Oh, I have no fucking idea.
I don't even own the mace.
A mace? What's that? I don't know them.
Who dat? How you doing?
That's my new favorite thing when someone's like, "Do you have a blah blah blah?" And I'm like, "I don't even know them." And they're like,
"What?" It's like me when I say, "I don't know. I'm not a doctor." What? You know.
I asked him something about his computer, and he said, "I don't know. I'm not a doctor." And I'm like, "I could kill you like right now and feel nothing." I'm like,
good times. But yes, today we're talking about Stranger Things, and of course, if you tuned in last time to our Star Wars stream, you will know that we answer 3 questions. And the 3 questions today are pretty simple, pretty straightforward. They are, what is your favorite season? 1, 2, or 3? Un, deux, or trois? Who is your who is your favorite character? And last but not least, season 4. What do you think? What's gonna happen? Huh? Who's coming back? Who isn't? Who's gone? Whose powers are still gonna be there or not?
and what
I don't
what
know.
storyline is gonna come up?
What year is it gonna be? What
Yeah.
holiday?
Yeah, because they did Christmas and then Halloween, and
then
they were talking about
4th of
Christmas
July.
in season. Yeah, 4th of July, and they were talking about Christmas and Thanksgiving in season 3 at the end when they were leaving. So.
Well, yeah, we'll get to predictions, but yeah, a little tidbit is that people think it's just gonna be Thanksgiving because that they even teased it at the end. That's when they say
Yeah.
that we'll see you at Thanksgiving. So unless they get together beforehand, but it seems as though the holidays are working backwards, if I'm not mistaken. But anyway,
No,
isn't it Halloween? No, Christmas.
it was Christmas.
Halloween, and then 4th of July. Yeah, it's working backwards through the year.
So why would Thanksgiving be next? Because Thanksgiving's after 4th of July, before.
Oh yeah, that's true.
Christmas. After Halloween.
Oh no, I was thinking of the other there's another theory that people were saying it was going to happen around Easter. And
yeah, it would be Easter.
But there's reasons why that shouldn't be. But we'll get there. We're foreshadowing what's going to happen later on in the podcast episode. But yes, sure. Hopefully everyone watching, if you have not seen Stranger Things, you may not want to watch, because we are going to spoil. We've already spoiled it a little bit anyway.
You know what though? If you have not seen Stranger Things, I don't want you to watch this. I want you to get off of the fucking computer and go watch Stranger Things, you fucking weirdo. Fuck.
Do it. Do it now. All right, so question number 1. Uno. Let me get that graphic going. Boom. Favorite season. There's 3 seasons so far. They're all pretty fucking different.
Yeah, so I like the first season the best. The character development is handled very well. And I'm really big on character development because I hate, like, extra tidbits that you don't need to know about the character. Like, an incident that happened in 3rd grade that has nothing to do with the story. Like, who the fuck cares?
Yeah.
But the way they had everyone having flashbacks, and instead of, like, exposition of, like, oh, I remember this time when Will and I were sitting in my bedroom listening to, you know, like, the Ramones or whatever. You know, it's like there was no verbal exposition. It was all flashbacks. Like when Elle was explaining all of she explained everything that happened to her through visions with like Papa and like all that stuff with the Coke can when she saw the Coke commercial, like all that stuff was explained very well.
Well, yeah, she was
And then,
almost having like PTSD where she would see something and it would trigger her
yeah,
back into the memory. Yeah, that was really well done.
yeah, and like they do that a little bit more, but it kind of flashes back to past seasons. So like the way they handled it with the character development and the exposition, and they made you feel for Elle before like she even said anything, just through her flashbacks.
I do like how now they do it to past seasons only because it kind of keeps it self-contained as well now. Like, because we already
Yeah.
know Elle's backstory. Like, it started with like her mom's generation, and we've heard about that. So now it's kind of self-contained, and then if there are flashbacks, it'll probably be if like Dr. Brenner comes back or some shit
Yeah.
when he first started it. Like, if they ever go into the other like numbers, like number one and stuff, or anyone that they haven't
1
explained,
through 10.
it
Yeah.
well 1 through 7 because it's
7, yeah.
eight, yeah. So yeah, there still could be flashbacks, but I like that. I've had to agree actually because it's very close. I love 1 and I love 3. 2 I love, but it's just I don't like the fact like it works with the story, but I don't like how Elle is away and hiding for all of it. Like I like when all
I
the kids
didn't
are
like
together.
I didn't like to very much. Like, you know how in the Star Wars thing we're talking about how there was too many storylines, and then people were upset with like Rose being introduced
Yeah.
because they felt like her storyline wasn't relevant. It's like, how were any of those people that Elle hung out with in season 2 relevant to anything that has or had like will happen in season 3?
Well, not
Like,
necessarily season 3, but I do think that she's going to have to team up with other numbers to take down whatever is going to happen.
well, yeah, but like, okay, so she found out she wasn't the only one. But why? Like, we knew that already. She's number 11. Like, I just, I understand the whole storyline of her meeting another one with powers, but like the way they did it, and like, yeah, she was away and it kept cutting to this city. And I'm like, oh, yeah, I forgot this was happening. Like, if I ever am watching a movie or a show and it flashes back to a storyline that I forgot was happening, it's not being portrayed properly. And that happened like every time.
See, I'm kind of different on that. I liked that episode because they were there's actually one extra episode in that season, and it's because they got that to add in, and they kind
Fucked
of
up.
like
Yeah.
no, they kind of experimented with it. Like they kind of went from a different '80s angle, and it was more like musical, like West Side Story almost, like punk rock version. I don't know. I liked it because you gotta like to me that's kind of like a continuation of the flashbacks to Hawkins or whatever, because she did grow up with some of these other girls or patients, whatever, or experiments would be the best part, I guess, or best way to explain it. Um, and we haven't seen that. Every flashback was just her and Papa one on one with the guards and stuff. So it just kind of connected it in a different way rather than her having flashbacks to her kind of
Well,
actually
like I
mean.
said, I remember I appreciate them
And I think they meet because
having.
she's coming back. Just that's where I'm going to end it there. I think
Okay,
she
but
will come
I
back.
understand. I understand the story of them having another person with powers. I get that and I appreciate it. I said the way they did it was stupid and I didn't like it.
No, I know.
When
I'm
they
just saying.
whenever they flash back to like another storyline with Elle and she was in the city and like all these crimes, and like, I also don't like how they made Elle out to be this like super independent, strong female lead in the first season, and then she was a gullible bitch in the second one. You know what I mean? Like, you just keep her the strong female character.
I don't think she was gullible. She fucking leaves Hawkins and takes off on her own. That's pretty, like,
And then she got talked into stealing a car because they're like, I forgot my keys. Like,
nah. Well,
yeah,
she
she
knew
was
what was
gullible.
going
They
on.
played
She
her.
kind of agreed to, like, she did know what was going on after a while and still went along with it.
Yeah, after a while, but they made her out to be like this gullible bitch at the beginning of the whole season thing. And I'm like, can we not? I'm like, where does she prove she's a fucking badass? Why are you taking that away from her? Now she's weak and gullible and at the whim of the fucking criminals in the city. Just because the female is the leader is another girl with powers. Like that just bothered me. I didn't like it.
Yeah, but by the end of it, I think she kind of changed their mind on that kind of stuff. Especially I think her sister's probably like rethinking her path or whatever. And I like how her powers grow in that episode. Like when she's moving that train car, that's like so intense. I remember the first watching that, and, like giggling like so hard, just knowing, because if it's showing that, you know something's gonna happen later where she's just like. And of course, season 3 comes around and she's fucking throwing the monster around like a bitch and shit.
Throwing the monster around like a bitch.
Well, yeah,
So
like when she picks up Billy and stuff and like throws him through a wall and stuff, it's like, oh yeah, her powers are just a little bit more.
Well, that's what I mean. Is she's a strong female character in 1 and 3, but she like there's a midway section where she has like a mid show crisis where like she's just like weak and gullible and feeble, and like she is like just sucked into this world because people told her to. It's like that's never how it's been. They just seem to make a character shift on her, and I didn't like it because she's like one of the main characters, but she ended up being a side story.
Yeah,
like
see, I agree with that. She was definitely more of a side story. That's why I say season 2 isn't my favorite. It's 1 and 3 is pretty much tied, because 1, like you said, has great character development, and I just love when the kids are all together. Like some of my favorite 80s movies and I guess early 90s are like The Sandlot and Goonies, and like those those really great child dynamic like those great friendships that you can tell like, okay, these people know each other off screen, or like The Sandlot or Mighty Ducks. Like even throughout the 90s, that they kind of they kind of took that formula, and like that was kind of the 90s thing. It was always like a group of kids doing shit. That's why this whole nostalgic thing is it and Stranger Things. It's like, whoa, these funny ass group of kids are back together because it's a thing again.
Except for it, chapter 2.
Yeah, they just have flashbacks. But at the same time, it's not even just the kids. It's their great chemistry too. Because even before the show started, the Duffer Brothers got them together and were like, okay, we want you to watch these movies together, i.e. like Stand By Me and all those movies that it was influenced into the show, and like brought them to the malls and like let them hang out before they acted together on screen, so that when they did act together, it was just, yeah, we're playing Dungeons and Dragons and at the same time filming a scene. Like it was
like, oh,
it was,
look, there's someone with a camera. Yeah, like there Finn Wolfhard went on to the Game Grumps and played video games with them.
mm-hmm.
And Finn Wolfhard is actually even in one of the Ninja Sex Party videos.
Oh yeah, he's in a music video for a Canadian band too. Pup, is it Pup? And he was actually just before Stranger Things. He's really into music because he's in a band too.
Yeah. In the music video for Ninja Sex Party, he plays younger Danny Sexbang because they both have like the big curly hair froze.
That's so funny because in the Pup video, he's a younger version of one of the people in the band. That's awesome.
He did come to Game Grumps like twice, I think, and was a guest playing video games with them.
Right on.
And it's really funny because he was making inappropriate jokes that they couldn't put on stream, and so they had to cut it because the TV station and his manager's like, you can't put that out there.
Well, yeah, because he's very, like, he's living like the rock star life. Like, he puts out albums, he's on tour and shit. And then, of course, when you're doing Stranger Things and you're part of like a kids club, you kind of gotta like not. You gotta have an image. But yeah, his music's pretty good too. Calpurnica or something like that. Yeah.
And he said that they became friends before shooting, and it made things so much easier. Like on Game Grumps, they talked about the dynamic of the characters, and it's like, well, you guys act like you grew up together, and they like, we feel like we did.
Yeah, and that was all the Duffer Brothers. That was another. Yo, Chiva, what's going on? Live like a rock star. I played Dungeons and Dragons. I've always wanted to get into Dungeons and Dragons, but never had people to play with, to be honest. I even have my own die. Is that what they're called in Dungeons and Dragons?
Dice?
Or dice, that too.
You only have one?
So, anyway.
Do you have a set of dice?
Yes, I do. Okay, so what we were talking about, where were we?
Well, currently we're critiquing your grammar and knowing plurals and singulars.
Okay, seriously?
Chiva, by the way, you're in my new compilation clip.
As I've got older, hard to get the old crews back together. Someone stole my dice I collected since I was 12. Well, I had a friend, actually, funny that I'm talking about this on a podcast, that mentioned Dungeons and Dragons. He was one of the co-hosts. And I was like, oh, I've always wanted to play, but none of my friends are that nerdy. Like, I have nerdy friends, but they're not, like, that level of nerdy. And he was like, oh, yeah, I'll put a campaign together. So I was like, cool, I'll buy some dice. And I bought them, and we never played. I was like, oh.
Did you call him Die? Maybe he got discouraged. I was trying. Oh, I do have my dice.
But yes, I think we both agree season 1 is the best. I love season 3 though, because it's so extreme, like the first season. Like, I like the second season, Mind Flare, because it's fucking huge and intense. And I think that there's still a form underneath the shadow, but we'll get to that later. But I love the horror element in season 3 is like cranked up to 11, because it's like, no, not that wasn't that was not intended. I did not. It turned up to 11. I didn't mean that. Like, you know what I mean. Anyway, I love the whole John Carpenter feel to it. Like, there's even a Christine shout out when Billy's in the car and the lights come on, and of course the monster is pure like The Thing, like just body parts and like like the one part what happens first is it. I think a rat explodes. I think that was the first, like, gruesome thing you see. And I saw that, and I was like, okay, they weren't lying. Like, because I saw a thing where the character, or the actors had to explain season 3 in 3 words. And a lot of them were saying, like, gruesome and, like, grotesque and gross and stuff. And I was like, Stranger Things. Like, how much grosser can you get than, like, the Demogorgon, like, yeah. And then I saw that, I was like, oh, damn, yeah, alright. And then later when people are just, like, falling into pools of, like, bleh and shit, like, oh, it was so good. So good.
Which reminded me of Poltergeist.
Oh, yeah, there's a lot of Poltergeist in season 3 and season 1 as well. Like, when Will opens the door, and it's, like, the upside down. Or, no, sorry, that's, like,
that's...
Close Encounters, sorry.
Yeah,
so many references.
I was watching a few episodes of season 1 today, and my son was watching it with me, and he's fairly young, and he said, oh yeah, my dad let me watch it at his house one time, and I'm like, I don't think so. So, like, we started watching it, and it was like keeping an eye on him, you know, throughout like the whole first episode.
Yeah.
And he was really fine, and then he started asking questions, and he was really getting into it, and he's like, Will's not really talking through the lights, is he? And I'm like, yeah, he is. He's like, how's he doing that? And I'm like, because he's in the upside down. And he's like, what's that? And you're like, I'm like really into it.
Oh, so good. Yeah, I'm rewatching season 3 right now, and I plan on starting again from the beginning when I'm done. Again.
Yeah, I don't know. I really wish they would have done season 2 a lot different, but it is what it is. Season 3 redeemed itself a lot though, and it was amazing.
I do understand season 2, and I do like it the more I watch it. It's one of those things, because I kind of understand it, because it's kind of like where they're going with season 4. Like, everyone's broken apart. It's kind of like upping the ante, where it's taking everybody and like pulling them apart from the stronghold that is the group type of thing. but I just didn't like how long it took for 11 to come back. Because that's like my like second favorite character. I'm not gonna say she's my favorite, and I'll say who's my favorite because that's the next question. But she's one of my all-time favorite like female heroines. Like, just she's so badass. Like
Heroine?
hero. Like she's a mix between like a Jedi slash every type of psychic from like the 80s. Like a nice version of Carrie because she's not like trying to kill anyone. Like we see her at a school dance. She's good. And I was just gonna say that, Chiva, like Firestarter, like Drew Barrymore in Firestarter, and like her mostly because if I went back and rewatched that, and every time Drew Barrymore's character in that does anything, her nose bleeds.
Yeah.
And I was like, oh yeah, I knew that from somewhere, but I knew it wasn't Carrie. I knew it wasn't like anything else I've seen with like kids with psychic abilities.
Carrie just spends most of the movie being covered in blood.
Yeah, and whenever she does something, it's always like a little flick of her head or something.
Yeah,
like she doesn't.
Kind of like her eyes or her her head. Yeah.
She looks really fucking intense or whatever. Like her eyes are just like.
One of my friends called me Carrie for a little while until I asked them to stop. Because when I have my episodes and stuff like that, with my personality disorder, I'll have a tick with my shoulder and my head will like twitch down like this, I guess. And she started calling me Carrie. And I was like, please stop. Also, don't put pig's blood on me.
Scanners was, so good too. But yeah, so I guess when it comes down to it, we both agree season 1 was the best. Shall we move on to...
That's it. We agreed on the Star Wars movie and the season of Stranger Things.
I always wonder why we get along so well. Invasion of the Body Snatchers, that's another one.
Because I put up with you.
And I put up with you. See, it's a two-way street. Like, we're so good. Perfect.
We have a give and take relationship where we give each other shit and then we take it.
It's funny because it's true. All right, shall we get to question number 2? I'm gonna take that as a yes. Question number 2. Get the graphic. Look right there. Look right there. Boom. Favorite character. We got lots to choose from. I'm actually gonna double down for this. I'm gonna say my favorite.
You double down on the last one. Pick one.
No, I said I'm splitting the question up, and I'm saying my main character and my favorite like side character. My favorite main character is Dustin. Because I
like Dustin a lot.
A lot of things in recent years, like especially it's weird, like superhero shows and stuff. There's always the character that is almost like the fanboy who wants to be there and is always trying to
the guy in the chair.
Yeah, exactly, the guy in the chair. And yeah, like even spy movies, it's always like the guy who's hacking, but they're always excited to be like, oh, the next adventure, yeah, let's go for it. And that's kind of what he is. Like, he's always in tune of what's going on, like, and a fan of it.
He's kind of preoccupied with his girlfriend.
Until, that was only the first few episodes. And then he gets to the Russian, he finds because right away he finds the Russian transmission. And he's just like, boom, let's figure this out. Something's going on. And he's just on a mission. That's why I love him.
And nobody wants to talk to him about it.
Yeah, they're so mean to him. That's the one thing. I love chairs. I love chairs too, Chiva.
Chiva, are you high today?
But my favorite not main character is their teacher, Mr. Clark.
He's pretty cool.
You know why? Because he's like the Gandalf / Kenobi character, where whenever they kind of need a little bit of wisdom about what the fuck's going on, he's the only person that comes like even slightly close enough of explaining like parallel worlds or the magnets falling off the fridge. Like he's the answer that like he's the only one that can give the closest answer to what the fuck's going on without actually knowing that like how do you know what's going on? Who know like it's a parallel universe.
You know what I call that? That's their encyclopedia character.
Yeah.
They don't know how to have, or to get out of jail free card. They don't know how to have the characters figure everything out on their own. And they can't figure out how to write in the exposition to explain everything or how they discover everything. So they just have them go ask their teacher.
Oh yeah, it's very um what's the word? It's very convenient that this happens to the nerdy kids in the school,
yeah.
and that they're already like best friends with their teacher. But of course, this is just the perfect setup for it, right? But that's what I love about him. Like even like first the kids go to him, and then Joyce is like, "Well, they're always talking about their teacher." And then she goes to him with the magnets, and he builds the fucking like car battery wrapped in shit, and like shows her, like doesn't even tell her, like shows her. Like I love him. And how the garage opens and it's Weird Al playing. Like he just has the best scenes. I'm sorry. Okay. Dustin and Mr. Clark. That's my answer.
Well, I was only prepared to answer for one character, so I think my favorite character is also Dustin.
Yeah.
Because I like that. I've always liked that nerdy kid comes in with the clutch. You know what I mean? Like, there's always that one character, and everyone's like, "All right, well, this is it. We can't figure it out." And then the geek's like, "I fucking know the answer. Sing with me, babe. Never-ending story." And like, gets like the answer that they need to use for the code, and then he's like, "All right, bitch, bye," and like hangs up the phone. Like, he's just fucking funny.
Or Dusty's girlfriend. Yeah, that's the best part of season 3. I love that, where they're just like, "You don't have a girlfriend," because that's such an '80s thing too. Like the nerdy friend comes back from somewhere or mentions a long distance girlfriend, and everyone's just like, "No."
Yeah, sure.
And then
okay.
it turns out to be true.
The my favorite side character. Oh my god, I forgot his name. Hold on a second. Talk, do things.
I also love Dustin's chemistry with oh, I always forget his name.
Cool. So this is the
Lewis?
second.
Lewis. Because he's kind of like, they're always on like the same page in season 1 and almost like answering each other's like sentences. They kind of grow apart after that though. Like Dustin like completely goes off on his own. Once he teams up with Steve, that's it. Like that's his best friend. Like for the rest of it, like even when in season 3 when he comes back and he goes to the ice cream parlor and meets up with Steve, and they have like the funny handshake and shit, and they do like the sword and stuff. It's so good. So good.
How come I can't remember? Oh, Alexi.
Oh, okay, yeah.
Alexi is my favorite supporting character because he's just so fucking cute and like innocent and funny, and he's like, you can totally tell this is the first time he's been like out of like the Russian spy life, and he's like exploring and having fun. And fuck you writers for killing him. I swear to God, I'm coming for you. Whether you called or not, I'm coming. I swear to God. Like the way he died was just like in a fucking little crevice in between two carnival booths. Like that shit's depressing.
I know.
But when they're talking about like these are my demands, and then I'll translate for you or whatever, and I'll give you the information you need, and he's like, I want this kind of slushy.
Cherry.
And yeah, cherry slushy is like, well, that's a different slushy.
That's strawberry.
The same thing.
Same color.
It's same color. And he's like, and then he walks out, takes the car, and he's like, I like strawberry.
Well, that's just it. I like his. I not only like his relationship with Hopper, I really like his relationship with. I always forget his freaking name. Like the
conspiracy theory guy.
The conspiracy theory guy. Because at first he does not trust him. Has the shotgun at him. Has the metal detector. But then by the end of it, they're like closer friends than any of the fucking kids.
He basically holds him as he dies.
Yeah, I love it. Like that's what pissed me off. I was like, oh, I wanted to see where they were going. Like they were gonna be like the coolest bromance ever because they're the only ones that know Russian. They could have had like inside jokes like at other people, but whatever.
They're like the smartest people, like adults in the whole fucking series.
Yeah, they were too funny. Like the whole when they're at the fair and stuff, like is so good. But of course they do that on purpose to build it up and then take it away. It's funny. It's like they
What the
didn't
fuck is this? Game of Thrones?
like they did not expect Barb's character to get that much like not hate but like backlash when she died. So everyone's like, oh well, they'll learn. They won't do that later on. And then every season they always bring in a character that everyone's like, oh, this guy's cool. Oh, why? Now it's just like you kind of expect it.
Now I'm just gonna be like, I don't like this character. I like this character, and like totally reverse psychology them. I'll be like, no, no, no.
I will not be attached this time. But it's funny because even Bob, I didn't like him at first. I was like, this guy's so nerdy, he's so typical. Of course, that's the point. But then a few episodes later, I'm just like, this guy's actually pretty funny. Like the shit he says, like he's pretty cool. And then by the end, he's like, damn it, fuck Bob.
That's like, I didn't like him. He was the stereo. He was a Walking Dead joke. You know what I mean? And like,
Yeah.
I get that that's the point, but you know me, I have a hard time liking those things. Like Curb Your Enthusiasm and things like that, like Idiocracy, like things that are just so obviously stupid or played out, and you're just like cringe. You know, like it's so hard for me.
I don't know. To me, that's a very 80s dad. Ooh, the Eviscerator coming with the host. Thank you so much, buddy. Welcome to the stream-isode. We're talking about Stranger Things. Hey, how goes my friends? Glad to see you. Thank you very much. To me, that's just very 80s dad. Because even, is it Mike's dad? He's very much like that.
Mike's dad is very...
He's
well,
just,
no,
he's more on...
dad in a different way.
Yeah, he leans more on the lazy side. Bob's more of the, I want everyone to like me. Like, he's just the...
There's two kind of, like, stereotype... Well, actually, there's three types of parents that are mentioned in, like, Stranger Things. There's Bob, who is the over-friendly, like, hello, fellow kids type of dad.
He's very small town, too. They live in a small town, so I think that's why he fits in for me as well.
Mike's dad is very... Listen to your mother. I work all day, come home, eat dinner with my family, not pay attention to a word they're saying, watch TV, fall asleep in the armchair. You know what I mean? Like, and then you have Will's dad, biological father.
Yeah.
Who's just like complete fucking trash.
I'm gonna go to the store, get a pack of smokes. All right, where's dad? 20 years later.
Yeah. He I love in the first season he's like, this is my oldest, and she's like, the fuck? And like his girlfriend, and he's like tries to hug him, and he's like, fucking get off me. He pushes them away like twice.
Okay, I know this. I'm just gonna ask this because it falls under this question. Who is your favorite parent other than, like, you can't pick Joyce or like Hopper? Because
I can't pick Hopper, that I'm not answering the question.
No, who's your favorite, like, out of all the other kids, like, not a main character? Who's your favorite parent? I already know mine. Mine's Dusty's mom. She's amazing.
I was gonna say, okay, for comedy purposes, Dustin's mom.
Well, most side parents are in different ways. Okay,
so Mike's mom I like a lot because she seems to be the most realistic parent in that whole, you know, like logical and realistic, trying the hardest for her kids, except for in season 3 where she almost cheats on her husband, but we're not going to talk about that.
No, but she redeems herself by not doing it, and she kind of puts Nancy on the right path, because Nancy's having trouble as a woman with a news place full of men, like, not listening to her, and she's about to quit, and her mom's like, no, like, you're amazing.
Now that's one of the reasons. That's one of the reasons why I think that's the main reason why she's my favorite, like, parent in that show, is because it reminds me a lot of my mom. Where, like, my mom, although, like, you know, my biological father was in the picture for some reason for a lot of the time when I was, like, before I was 10. My stepdad was in the picture, and he took care of me, and like, you know, the reason we had a roof over our head and like food on the table and stuff like that. But he was always working all the time, so my only emotional support and like guiding light was my mother when it came to things like that. And I think it relates a lot, like it resonates a lot to me. And I'm like, oh yeah, like I remember like a time I did this and my mom said that. You know what I mean? It's like with when the whole Nancy and mom conversation happens, I'm like, that seems familiar, you know? I'm like, I can relate. And now being a mom myself, I'm like, fuck yeah, you know?
Viscerator says Mike's dad has that awkward funniness to him when he cares deeply about his family. Yeah, he's the very just like, I worked all day, but I'll fall asleep with like my daughter on the couch.
Yeah, I mean,
None of the
I,
parents really, if you think when it comes down to it, none of the parents pay attention to where the fuck their kids are. I mean, the little girl like that goes into the air ducts and stuff. They're gone like overnight and stuff, like saving the world, and you never
and her
hear.
parents never come into the picture,
You,
even after the mall. Where are they? Were they there?
there's only one part where you see. I don't. Do you? I think you see the mom because there's one part where she's talking to Lewis, and that's when you first see the sister go, "Yeah, you nerd," or when he's getting ready for Halloween in his suit, in his Ghostbusters suit.
Right.
That's it. But yeah, they're always out all night, like not sleeping over, and their parents are
I know
like
the only time that Nancy snuck out and slept with Billy is his name? No,
Steve.
Steve. Slept with Steve, and that was the only time where her mom was like, the fuck were the kids? You know what I mean? And
Because
that's
then
because it's new
because
that like the kids were missing, and now Nancy's like disappearing, and she's like, you lied to the cops, and she's like, why is it important that I told the cops that I fucked Steve? Like,
yeah, because then in like I think it's season 2, Joyce or whatever calls Mike's parents, and they're like, where are the kids?" And they're like, "We don't know." Like
yeah.
no one knows, and they're all just like, aren't they at your place or like,
And
like,
like and I get that it's like a time before cell phones, and like I remember that time where my mom was like, where were you? I was like, I was at Dennis's house. And she's like, okay, well you need to tell me. And I
oh
used to
yeah,
have to like ride back to my house on my bike and then ride over to my friend Danielle or Dennis's house,
or
and like those were my
call
only
every
two
few
friends.
hours.
Yeah.
Make sure you
Oh
call
yeah,
me when
yeah.
as soon as you get to your friend's house. Oh,
Using my friend's phone, like
huge different time period, and I like that they capture that too. Because even back then, how many days would you get home and your parents were like, "Where the hell were you?" And it'd be like,
not
"Say,
really. My mom was very like it's nice out. Like, come out when the street lights come on.
oh, it
I
got to the point where
think
my
like
parents were like, "Get out and stay out." Like it got to that
yeah, my
point.
mom did that sometimes too. She'd be like, "I'm cleaning. I need you to fuck off." Like, obviously she didn't say that to me, but she'd be like, "I'm cleaning. I can't just go."
You're not cleaning my room, mom. Why do I have to like?"
Right.
I was the same
So
way, and it was always on the hottest days of summer. It would always be so hot where you would just where you know where you'd step outside and it was just like a layer of just humid, and it's like you
yeah.
slowed down and you're like, oh, those would be the random days that our parents would be like, get the fuck out. Like, you gotta go outside. I'd be like, we always go outside. We don't want to today. We would just be like sitting at the front door, like, ah.
See, I think when my mom's like, I used to voluntarily go out for hours on end and rollerblade and listen to my fucking Walkman.
I used to
But like,
rollerblade too.
yeah, I used to rollerblade all the time with my CD Walkman and fucking like old school like foam headphones on
Yep.
like the little wire above. And I used to rollerblade for like hours, and then I'd come home and be like, "Can I have money to go get pizza?" And so she'd give me money, and I'd go up to the pizza place and get a slice and like a pop, and then I'd rollerblade more. And then when I felt nauseous from rollerblading after eating, because I was a stupid fucking kid, I'd come home and be like, "Okay, I'm tired." And she'd be like, "All right." But like once it got to the point where I was like at home all the time playing Diablo for hours on end, she'd be like, "Fucking leave!" It's like really bad. I would be addicted to I didn't do my homework because I was playing Diablo 2 all the time.
Ah, those were the days. So yeah, those are our
We're
favorite
showing
characters.
our age now.
Well, yeah, we're fans of Stranger Things. We're the demographic. That's why we're such fans.
Yeah, because we're like, we remember when our parents didn't know where we were and we'd woods fuck around with shit we weren't supposed to do.
Even just when Dustin and Steve are like walking down the train tracks, just like nostalgic, fucking right. Like right up the wazoo.
Yeah, I never had like train tracks going through like backwoods anywhere near my house, but there was woods where
I lived
a
right
lot of like
beside train tracks at one point.
we had like these woods. I lived like if you went down my street, there was like a little dead end nook.
Hmm.
Um, and there was like no houses on the dead end, but there was houses on either side of like the dead end area. And then if you climbed over there, there was a bunch of woods back there, and like nobody owned like this huge chunk of like wood. So a bunch of the older kids had made like gotten shovels and made like BMX bumps around it. So we take our bikes back there. My bike was like, sorry mom if you're listening. My bike was like never suited for like BMX jumps, but we'd go over them anyway, and I'd like fall off my bike and like fuck up my knee. There was one time I was riding my bike and they were doing construction on the sidewalk, and so I went into the road
Hmm.
and I turned behind me because there was a car like coming up beside me, and I turned and for some reason my arms went this way,
That's usually what
and
happens when you look behind you. You
yeah,
swerve one way or the other.
so like I looked, I went like this because I was looking over my shoulder. So my hand right here smashed into a side view mirror of an SUV, and I flew over my handlebars, and my knee was scraped for like months. It was just bleeding profusely, and my friend's house at the time was like right 3 houses down the street I was riding past.
Yeah.
And so the person in the car was like, "What the fuck?" And like I was bleeding through my jeans. There was like blood stains going all down my legs. And they were like, "Are you okay? Where can I take you?" And I'm like, "My house is like fuck all." Like that way, I'm like, "Just take me to my friend Crystal's house and I'll call." So I went over to her house and like called my mom, and I'm like, "I got like hurt. Like you have to come get me." And like I remember doing shit like that, and nowadays everyone's like, you have your cell phone on you, and I have your GPS location, and I know exactly where you are. And like parents putting GPS on cars and shit, like what?
See, it's funny. The more we talk about our childhoods and shit, the more similar I find we are. Because you've been to my dad's house now. You know how those houses kind of turn, and then like
Yeah.
behind those houses is like a huge drop into a forest, and it's not there anymore because they like did construction down there and fucked up the river and shit. But when I was a kid, there was a place called the Jumps, like right behind my dad's house, and
Oh yeah.
it was a BMX park. Like there was the tabletop. People dug out like a route, so it was like a tabletop, and there was actually like I don't know, like the kids got just lucked out because it was literally like a flat top, and it went straight down, and then over the tabletop. But if you turned to like one side, there was like a divot and shit. Like it was like it looked like it was professionally made. It was so weird, but like yeah, that was right in our backyard too, and I used to go there. I
Bef-
was horrible at it though.
Before I moved to the house that I've been talking about, we lived in a trailer park that I grew up in like from young ages.
Yeah.
And there was a group of hills that we were not supposed to go down because all of our parents told us not to go down it. So we fucking did. um, it was called Snake Hill Road, is what we like nicknamed it. We nicknamed it Snake Hill, and it was just this steep as fuck hill road. It was part of the trailer park. I don't know why people lived down there because getting up in the snow must have been fucking miserable. But like there was like a cul-de-sac at the bottom of like two of these hills, and they both just went like straight fucking down. And there was no way to like control your speed on like skateboards, rollerblades, bikes, nothing. Um you just kind of went, and then you prayed you could stop before you hit the guardrail. And again, sorry mom, but we used to go down that all the time, and we used to fuck ourselves up. And like we'd go home and they'd be like, "Why is there a rip in your jeans?" And you'd be like, "Fucking I don't know, I'm going to bed, leave me alone."
I'm sure after a while they'd know. Parents seem to know, but they like as long as you don't break anything, they're just like whatever. Let them get out of our face.
I got busted a couple times. I got busted with the Snake Hill Road thing once, I think, but we went down like a million times. So
Well, that was always
I'll take it.
my mom always had one main rule, and that was always if you're gonna do something stupid, just don't get caught. So basically, if you're gonna do something stupid, do it smart.
That's my mom always told me like the first time I went out like heavy drinking at school, and I think I was like 16 or 17, and I was like, "Mom, I'm going." My boyfriend at the time and I are going. We're going to a St. Patty's Day party, and because my mom's not stupid, she's like, "Okay, are you drinking?" And I'm like, "Well, yeah." And she's like,
Yeah.
"Okay, like, is this your first like time like drinking?" And I'm like, "Jesus fucking Christ." Oh fuck. Sorry.
You're good.
Don, thank you for the jump scare alert. He said, "What would be strange is if you were streaming and I did not jump scare you." I'm not even playing the scary game yet. I'm playing Simulacra 2 after the podcast, and you're already jump scaring me. Thank you, Don. I forgot what I was saying. That was very loud.
It was. I could hear it through your headphones.
So oh, I had said this was my first time like heavy drinking, and she's like, "Okay, do you have the designated driver?" And I said, "Yeah." And she's like, "Okay, just like don't do anything stupid." Like gave me the like don't take drinks from people you don't know, like open drinks, and like don't blah blah blah.
Yeah.
All the things like, hey, like kiddo, don't get raped by creepy guys, like because those are literally the rules that we get told when we're kids. Like, do all these things to prevent creepy guys from taking advantage of you. And so I went out and I drank like a lot, and I drank a bunch of Incredible Hulk. And I had to have been older than that because I was living in the basement, which means I was probably like, no, I had to be like 16 or 17. And she's like, I came home and she's like, "Come talk to me when you get home." And I'm like, "Fine, okay." So I pull up to the house, and I did have a designated driver. I'm lying. So my designated driver dropped me off at my curfew, and I was on time. I was a little early because I'm like, I'm fucking trashed, and I don't want to get in trouble for being trashed and late. You know what I mean? So I got home a little early, and I'm like, shit, my mom wanted me to come talk to her. So I walked in the living room and just kind of like swayed there. She's like, "Hey," and I'm like, "Hello." She's like, "You good?" And I'm like, "I think so." Like doing that whole like overly confident drunk thing where you're like, "I'm fucking good." Like, nah, there's nothing wrong with me. Like just the whole first time drunk, completely smashed bullshit. And she's like, "Fucking go to bed." And I'm like, "I'm gonna grab some water." And I like, stumbled downstairs, and my mom and dad were laughing at me when I was going downstairs. I'm like, I'm gonna guess I didn't hide that very well.
Yeah,
My
my
mom.
mom was already in bed first time I went home after being drunk and being the shy, antisocial, social anxiety person that I am. I got drunk at a high school party and spent the night sitting beside the dog's watering bowl, drinking and petting the dog that was lying beside me all night.
You
And
were drinking out of the dog watering
no,
bowl?
no, no! I was sitting beside the dog's
No!
watering bowl,
You said you were sitting next to the watering bowl, drinking and petting the dog. It
Yeah, no,
sounded like
sorry.
you were
Yeah, no, I
drinking out
meant
of the
like I was
bowl.
drinking my shit and he was drinking out of the water bowl. Water. I wasn't feeding him anything. But I did cheers him a couple times. And
I
then
did
yeah, I
that
just
too. Like
stumbled
the
home.
first time I got drunk, my boyfriend was looking for me, and I kept like sneaking away into the other room and petting the cat. And
Yeah.
he's like, "What are you doing?" I'm like, "The cat's scared. There's so many people." And like I started like petting the cat. I'm like, "The cat's scared."
All right, so that's enough about our childhood. Let's get back to the childhood of Kids of Stranger Things, the characters.
Oh yeah, that was the purpose.
Yeah, right. It's weird that we went off track. No, that made perfect sense to kind of But yeah, we're talking about young children. Let's talk about the first time we got drunk. Next question.
Whatever, I was a minor, that counts.
All right, season 4, and what the hell to expect? What's coming? What's happening? Who's dead? Who's not dead? What? Who? Where?
Hopper is not dead.
No, he's
Hopper's
not.
in the Russian cell.
I think he's in the Upside Down.
Nope. He's in the cell at the who's in the cell then?
Dr.
When they
Brenner.
say the American. Who?
Dr. Brenner. Papa.
No. They wouldn't keep him hostage.
Yeah, I think he's the one telling them how to do all the shit that they're doing.
Why would he tell them?
Because he's a hostage and they're gonna kill him.
He seems to. He doesn't seem like the kind that would just blab out. Papa seems like the type that would just be like, "No, these are my works and they're mine, and I'm not sharing them," type of thing.
Well, I don't know if he's been telling them everything since the beginning of their time, but I think he helped them get the Demigorgon. I don't know. That's just one theory. Because for me, I think Hopper. At first, I thought he disintegrated like everyone else and pulled an 11 because she disintegrates in the first season and ends up in the Upside Down. But then after watching it a couple times, you see everyone else who disintegrated. You see like their remains like floating around, but when it goes to where he was standing, there's nothing. There's no blood, no ash, no particles, no nothing. So at first I thought if the Russians did take him, they must have grabbed him pretty quickly, or grabbed him as he was going down the escape hatch that is in that room. There is like another door that was like down behind him, or he ran into the gate. Because the gate was literally gate was right behind him, so he could have like just fucking okay, do it, all right, peace, and then like jumped because you got nothing else left to do.
Something I've learned about Stranger Things is unless you see a body, or unless you hear confirmation from like everybody that, and there's no contest that someone's dead, they're not fucking dead.
Well, yeah, the Duffer Brothers themselves said that about Dr. Brenner, because everyone was like, why would you have a villain, and then when he's finally killed, like, he's an evil son of a bitch. That would have been very nice to see him die. They're like, oh, well, we're not going to show you something that doesn't happen. Like, if someone dies, we're going to show you.
Yeah, like they did it with Alexi, and then they tricked us with Will in the first season, but that's the thing, is like they, as soon as they could, in the very same, or like the very next episode, the first thing they did was disprove that he was dead. You know what I mean? Like they real quick, Don says, I got all messed up at my friend's house, passed out in a lawn chair. My mom came down the next morning, kicked the chair, and said that my boss had called and asked if I could go to work, and told me to get my lazy ass to work. That would suck. Your very first hangover and you have to go to work.
Oh, damn. But yeah, I think, Hopper is definitely not dead. Because his arc can't be over yet, either. And I don't think they would take away 2 Papas from 11. Because as much as the Dr. Brenner was evil, it was the only father figure she knew for most of her life. And then she's transferred over to Hopper. So to have both of them die, like, that's very rude. That's just rude.
Hopper's letter. Oh,
holy
my
crap.
God.
Can we not talk about that? Because I'd rather not cry.
No,
I'd rather
we
not
need
cry.
to talk about that.
Well, actually, there is a clue in that, because I wish I made notes for this, but he makes a reference to like.
Whoa, wait. Your camera's frozen and all glitchy again. There we go. It fixed itself. I don't know. You're just like lagging a little bit, and then your screen got all crackly and green.
Oh, that's weird. It looks fine on my end. He mentions like time. Like there's a sentence about time, and like there's a bunch of clues in the letter that kind of allude to him not being gone and the possibility of time travel coming.
Something is very wrong with your camera. Can you turn it off on Discord and try turning it on again? That already looks better.
Oh yay, now my OBS is lagging.
Yeah, you have a 5-second lag. Like your camera's just all sorts of messed up right now.
It was fine on OBS.
Okay, well on my stream it's not. You have a 5-second lag.
Well, it's not fine on my OBS now that I restarted it. God damn it.
You want to take a BRB break real quick while you get that sorted?
Alright, it's working on my OBS.
Oh, there you go. That's better. So,
Alexi is definitely dead.
oh yeah, he's definitely dead because we saw the body.
Unless they do introduce time travel, but I doubt they're gonna save all the people that they've killed off.
That makes me so mad. They can't because if they use time travel to save a bunch of people, it's going to create a paradox, and then I'm going to be upset because I get very upset when TV shows are like, "Here's a solution." It's like, no, it's not. That would create a bootstrap paradox, and it doesn't make any fucking sense. And like,
I don't know if they'll use time travel in the way that I once thought, or even the theories online that I've read too, where something to do with like Will causing everything, and like when no, it has something to do with the Russians, how they have the Demigorgon, and how in the next season, if they do like a certain way of time travel, then it kind of connects to the first and keeps it in a loop. But I don't think they're gonna do anything like that with time travel if they introduce it, just because so many franchises are doing that now. The whole time travel, traveling back, fixing one little thing, but being really careful of everything else, just to fix the end of the world.
Don said, "How about it was all a dream ploy like they use in the show Dallas?"
No, it better not be a dream. I think Will. I think one theory I have is that Will's gonna be some sort of bigger figure to come save the day because of his connection to the Upside Down.
Probably. Well, they already showed that. Yeah, like the Russians have a demigorgon.
Demigorgon. It stands.
They're called.
No, the one they have stands up. It's not a. The demi-dogs are like actual dogs. Theirs stands up, and I love that scene. When I saw that, I got so excited, but I was so pissed off that it was the last episode.
If they did try to pull the, I don't think they will, but if they did try to pull the, it was all a dream. Whose dream do you think it'd be?
Will's. Because he has the
missing in the whole first season.
No, because if he, and I think there's one theory that he might have been experimented on somehow at one point in his life from Hawkins' lab, and that's why he's connected so easily. But if he does have powers, people are expecting it to be something to do with his drawing and his imagination, because he's always the one. What's it called? Like premonitions. Like he has like a sixth sense almost, because he's the one that plays Dungeons and Dragons, and he's the one that creates the stories for it. And right off the bat in the first season, he calls what happens, and it happens to him.
He's not the dungeon master. He shouldn't be the one creating stories, by the way, just on a nerdy note.
No, I know that. He's the dungeon master in season 3. But he's always the one drawing.
Nobody else wanted to play, and he threw the board.
Yeah, but he's like the artsy guy of the group. He draws all the pictures. He draws the map later on.
Yeah.
So a lot of people are thinking he's going to be connected, or his drawings are going to like come into play, or his imagination, or he may have even come up with the Upside Down out of his imagination. Because a lot of people were saying it was 11 when season 1 first ended. Everyone was like, "Oh, that Upside Down." 11 made it when she touched the Demigorgon. It was like, no, she opened the gate when she touched the Demigorgon. She didn't create anything. If anything, I think the first experiment in Hawkins' lab has something to do with the Upside Down.
If Will was experimented on, wouldn't he have a tattoo?
Unless they did it in secret, like feeding him something. I don't know.
Wait, in season 1,
he has asthma, doesn't he? could be through his puffer, like something weird. There's a conspiracy.
In season 1, Joyce, when they're trying to confirm that it's Will's body, she says he has a birthmark on his right arm, on his forearm. Can you show it to me?
Ooh. So like a secret
I
tattoo
just
or some
watched
shit.
it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, I remember that.
Yeah. Ooh.
But either way, even if he wasn't experimented on, I think his connection to the Upside Down is gonna get like bigger, and he's gonna be able to control it. Like how he can always sense the mind flare. I think it's gonna be the point where he can like just see where they are. Like,
how do we feel about Steve dying?
about who?
Isn't that his name, Steve? The guy who was possessed the whole movie?
Oh, no, you're talking about Billy.
Billy. Yeah.
I thought that was a cool arc for him.
But how do we feel? Like, do we wish he would have just been saved? Or...
No, they already did that with Steve. Steve wasn't supposed to stick around because he was the bully, but everyone loved him, so they were like, okay, well, we're gonna do what never happens and give him like a redemption arc, and then he becomes the babysitter. Like, he doesn't even stay the boyfriend because Nancy was supposed to end up with Jonathan by the end of season 1, but then does that happen in season 1? No, they actually sleep together in season 2. It's season 2 where they have the party and she breaks up with Steve, like first episode or something.
Yeah, but they definitely allude to the fact they end up together in season 1.
But yeah, he was supposed to be gone, so they kept him. So I don't think they would have done that with Billy. I think that's why they made Billy extra fucking evil. To make sure, like, do not like this character. He's a dick. We're getting rid of him. Like, you know what I mean?
I still felt bad for him because it wasn't him. You know what I mean? Like, his character wasn't... I mean, his character was an asshole and, like, a womanizer, but, like, the whole evil thing with him being controlled, like, and the scene at the mall with the car.
He abuses them in season 2 before he's... Like, he's threatening to... He's, like, almost slicing up... He's a... like, racist, too. Remember, he's almost gonna kill Lewis just because he's with... Like, he's a bad guy. But that's why I like his arc. That's why I like when he dies, because he's, like...
I forgot about season 2 because I don't like it.
he like, totally redeemed himself and, like, comes to the rescue. And...
Yeah, so that's 2 redemption arcs that came up in that show.
Oh, yeah. Oh, there's a lot. There'll be a lot. What was one other thing? Go ahead.
Who else? Who do we talked about who we thought was alive? Who do we think is going to die? Because this is the final season, right?
Well, they're not renewed for a 5th season, but I've read that they have 5 seasons planned out.
Okay. So Elle can't die. If they have a 5th season, Elle can't die.
No. And I don't know if they would go that route. Like, her sacrificing herself.
Wait, you've never seen Stranger Things? Don said, like how I add to the conversation about a show that I've never seen. Would you go away? Go watch Stranger Things. What are you doing? We're ruining everything. Now you know everything. You need to watch it, Don. It's amazeballs and tits. It's great.
And also, how you thought the Demigorgon was Demidog from the Russians. That's just it. If they have a Demigorgon at this point and they're sending people in there to feed him, I think they're making an army. So they may have an army of Demidogs by next season.
Yeah.
Which is
the whole
scary.
Pumpkin Patch thing was creepy though in season 2.
Like there are a lot of elements of season 2 I really fucking liked. I just didn't like how everyone was separated. It's the same with Star Wars. I love the Star Wars entries like The Last Jedi and
but when like Luke was with Yoda and everything like that.
Yeah, like that's why I always like how people are so against The Last Jedi because of that fact, and I'm just like, you remember the second Star Wars of the original trilogy? No one was together.
Nobody ever.
Like nowhere near each other. Like
light years away.
Yeah.
At least these people are like a town over.
Yeah, right? Like 11 was still in the same town. She was just in the woods. That's it. Like, but
well, in the city, she was like a couple cities over.
Well,
like,
that was just one episode though. She runs off and
That
then comes
was
back.
a couple episodes. I don't know why you keep saying that episode.
No, it's
She was in
one.
the city for like 2 episodes.
It's one. No, baby, it's one episode.
It's 2.
No.
So who else do we think is gonna die?
Because I remember the episode before it teases by showing the kids at the end. Who's gonna die? I think they're gonna have to kill off a main character at some point soon. Because if they're gonna get near the end of the series, something big is gonna have to happen. And they've already done like Billy, which wasn't a big character, but he was big enough because he was related to one of the new main characters. If they bring back Eleven's sister, maybe she'll die.
Do you think she'll have to come back to like fight something?
Yeah, I think there's definitely going to be some sort of a team up between all the experiments.
But if they have a season 5 planned, wouldn't they save that for like a finale?
Yeah, I think they would show up at the end of season 4 or something, depending on what season 4 is. I'm really interested just to see what the hell the monster is for season 4, because I was wondering, like, how do you go from a demigorgon to like a shadow monster? What do you do after that? And then they do the shit they pulled in season 3. I was like, God damn, that's fine. Yeah, that's good. But now it's just like, it's so crazy. But I would love it if like the first person who was ever experimented on was some sort of like overly powerful person that created the Upside Down. Because
she was in the city for 2 episodes. I'm looking at Netflix right now.
There's a part 1 and part 2.
There's episode 7, episode 6 when she ends up there, and then episode 7.
Okay, episode 6 isn't a full episode though. I think it goes back and forth between her traveling to the city. But episode 7 or whatever is just her in the city. Like, it doesn't show Will. It doesn't show anything from Hawkins. That's why people don't like it. Because they're like, we don't see anybody except for 11 and her, and these new characters that we've never seen. And then all of a sudden, the next episode, it bounces back and forth between her and. So yeah, it shows. Yeah, it shows because it shows her leave the cabin, and then it shows like it keeps going back to her being bored in the cabin, and then finally she's like, "Fuck this, I'm leaving." Then we get a little road trip with 11.
I'm like skimming through the episode to see at what point she leaves. Yeah, because there's like 2 episodes where 11's like barely even in the show.
No, I know, because she's just sitting in the fucking cabin.
So yeah, episode 7's when she leaves. And a whole bunch of shit with the city and all that.
I think it might end with going back to Hawkins, but yeah, it's just literally her in is it Chicago she goes to or something?
Okay, so 6 she fucks off, and then 7 she actually goes in there. Okay.
Yeah, that's when she gets her Yoda training, pretty much.
Yeah.
Think about all the people who you hate. She basically gets her dark side. That's basically what it is.
Dark side, yeah.
So yeah. Any other theories?
Nope.
I don't think I can think of anything.
Sorry, I was watching a thing.
Do you think Dustin's girlfriend will ever come to visit, like, in person?
Oh yeah, I think she's gonna be a major part of it. Actually, I'm kind of curious because they don't say, do they exactly where like Joyce and Elle and Will and everybody, like they don't say, and Jonathan, they don't say where they're moving.
No, exactly. I don't think they do.
So what if they end up moving near Dusty's girlfriend?
That'd be funny.
And then she's like part of the friendship with Will and Elle and Jonathan.
That'd be pretty awesome.
For the most part, I watch a lot of TV shows. I watch a lot of history type shows and movies. But I do watch Adult Swim. Yeah, total history buff right there. Space Ghost Coast to Coast.
Yeah, I think because a big part of the campaign for season 4 so far is we're not in Hawkins anymore. So I don't know if they're gonna fully, because that could mean a number of things. And
How old are all the kids in season 3?
um, I would say probably around 13.
So they're only going to be like 14, 15 in this next season?
Yeah,
Okay.
because it could refer to them moving, so they're not in Hawkins anymore, or it could refer to maybe a lot of the season will take place in Russia, so they're not in Hawkins anymore.
I wonder if Hawkins ends up getting like evacuated for some reason.
Well, another theory that people are having, because the next season is supposed to take place in 1986, and that's the same year that the Chernobyl incidents happened, people are thinking that the Upside Down is actually Hawkins after
The cause of Chernobyl?
after a nuclear disaster, because the ash that's floating around, like it looks
Yeah.
like, it does look like that, and the cloud, like it doesn't look like that, but it looks like when you see a movie where they talk about a world after like a nuclear war. There's clouds, it's always dark, there's never sunshine.
Like what was that movie, 2010 or something like that?
Yeah, it's always
Yeah.
like, even Terminator, like the future is always dark because because everything in the world, because it exploded, it's just ash clouds completely covering the planet and ash floating everywhere, which is what the Upside Down looks like. And then people
Yeah.
are also saying the Demigorgon could have been like what humans could have evolved into because of this. Like there's so many theories that like have to
I
do
think
with nuclear
Hawkins might end
explosion.
up getting evacuated, and that's the theory. And then
Well, if they
if
go
that
back in
happens,
time, I think that's what's going to happen. They're going to stop this like nuclear thing.
well, no, I think Hawkins is going to get evacuated, and then all the families are going to kind of move by Joyce, and then they're all reunited again eventually at some point in the season. You know what I mean? Like, because where else do they all have to go? Like,
Yeah.
their families all live in Hawkins. You know what I mean? Like,
Yeah,
so
I'm
they
very
all have to
interested
like
to
bunker
see.
up with Joyce.
And then I'm wondering, like, because the Russians seem to be trying to open a gate, if they're fully successful and they already have a demigorgon, then we could have demigorgons, demidogs, the mind flayer in our realm, plus whatever else they come up with. Because I don't think pardon me, I don't think the monster from season 3 will ever come back, because that was that even when Billy talks to 11, he says, "I'm growing stronger, like I'm gaining new powers." Like that was the first time something like that happened, because there's the mind flare is not in our realm. It's because the gate is open just a little bit that it's giving life to that part that came out of Will in season 2, and now it's kind of taking its biological like makeup of what it is and like mixing it with people and then breaking them down into this what it wants to be. So I don't think it'll have any use for a monster like that anymore, because it's just gonna have an army of these fucking demigorgons and
Billy
demidogs.
knocking out 11 and his sister made me more mad than the stormtrooper punching Baby Yoda.
Oh, but I love when 11 kicks his ass.
Oh yeah, I love when 11 kicks anyone's ass. Oh, so one more point, uh, and then we've been live for almost 2 hours about it. But uh, one more point, is 11 going to get her powers back, and how?
Oh, good. Yes. Well, first off, how do you think she lost them? Do you think it had to do with the monster in her? Did the monster steal her powers, do you think?
I'm kind of wondering if she's so connected with the Upside Down that every time a big monster like that dies, some of her power dies.
Ooh, that's a good theory. Because I was thinking too, like, the monster itself is very much like 11. Like, it has very psychic powers. So I think maybe that little piece that was in her may have sucked out as much of her psychic powers as it could and brought it to the monster.
For
What
those of you who didn't hear that was sucked out. Go
out?
ahead.
Yep, sucked out. And whatever power she had
Like
left, she
Canadian,
kind of
in general.
used it and like depleted it like a battery. Like she's just like Baby Yoda. Like every time Baby Yoda does something, it like it poops itself out and just passes out, so it just can't take
Yeah.
it. And like I said earlier, 11 keeps getting more powerful. Like this season, she's not just like trying to hold back a Demogorgon or like making someone pee their pants. She's like taking a monster and like flinging it around and splitting it into two and like
So does she naturally recharge, or does something have to happen?
maybe when the gate reopens.
Mhm.
Or
So
maybe
like as
maybe
long as
Dr.
there's no
Brenner has something to do with it because he's supposed to come back. Whether I think it's got to be this season, or maybe her sadness. Well, no, because she lost it before she found out Hopper was gone.
uh she also lost her powers and started fizzling out before the gate was closed.
That's true too. But I think maybe if she is connected to the power of the Upside Down, it could be like the Mind Flare, where part of it was here, and then as soon as the Russians opened the gate, it gave it like its soul, I guess, because it was connected again.
Someone that I was talking to had said that they thought it was a hormonal thing with puberty.
That could happen.
She's about that age.
That could be a very Carrie thing. I don't think they would put a tampon scene in high school like at the beginning of Carrie and Stranger Things, but they could go
No, but
that route,
like
whatever. The boot.
when I think the argument that they said, and I hadn't thought about this, but what they had said was it goes away and then comes back with like rushes of emotions. Like when you're going through puberty, you have like, especially when you're a woman, um, you have like hormonal waves and like mood
Yeah.
swings like fucking crazy. Um, and her power comes and goes along with her emotions. So when she's like super depressed, like the way she is, because Hopper died, I refuse to say it without the quotes, but because Hopper died,
He's not.
and like everything that happened, and you know, like it was just too much, and it overwhelmed her, and she's feeling so many emotions that she can't control her powers anymore.
Yeah. Well, that would be a really interesting way to go about season 4. Like her having her powers here and there and then getting too worked up and then not being able to use them. Yeah, I think it's very much in that realm. Like very much like Hulk when Thanos kicks his ass and then Hulk's like, "Fuck that, I'm not coming back out. There's someone stronger than me out there." Like it's just all in her head almost, but mixed with the puberty. That would be really cool if it was just like, "All right, stop him," and then all of a sudden like, "I can't." Like, "Shit, run." And then Will comes to the
at some
rescue and is
point
like,
she
here's a picture," and then something happens. I don't know.
It's like the magic pencil from SpongeBob, the Doodle Bob pencil.
Well, there's a character
like,
in the Stephen King universe that's like that. He draws pictures and like influences the universe somehow. And they draw a lot from Stephen King, so
I wonder if like, because at some point she has to feel like everything that is going on, everything good and bad that's going on, like people dying and all this is all my fault.
mhm.
You know what I mean? And so that's gotta fuck with your head a little bit. And maybe she's tried to suppress herself more.
That could be it too,
And
even
she
subconsciously.
she just suppressed it like too much. And now she has to like rediscover everything.
And maybe that's
What
why
about Mama?
I don't know if anything can happen with her. She was just comatose, wasn't she? She was just a
Yeah, but she
vegetable.
played a big part in it still.
Yeah. Maybe she's the fucking mind flayer. Because it is all. Because it is all like psychic, right? Like the way it's controlling the monster in season 3, it's a psychic bond between the monster and that shit. Same, and it's all a hive mind. Like everything's connected psychically. Like the big thing when it comes down to it is psychic. Like everything's like connected by it's mind blasting.
It's mind blasting.
But yeah, that'd be cool if she was controlling all of this from her chair. But I don't know. It would be kind of weird if 11 went to visit her and she was like, 11 is real, like you are here. But then at the same time, when the Mind Flayer finds out about 11, that's its main mission. Like in season 3, it doesn't even care that the Russians are experimenting with demigorgons or trying to fuck with the gate. It just goes for 11 because it knows that's its only uh, downfall. That's the only person who can stop it. For now.
Yeah. Yeah, I don't know. It all seems very open. Like they could go so many different directions, and I know that's what they wanted, but it pisses me off. I want to be able to guess what's going to happen, but once I guess everything that's going to happen, you know what I mean?
Well, that's why I like the Duffer Brothers. They're like they're pulling off like what Disney does on like a grand scale with everyone, like with Marvel and shit, where they're not allowed to talk about it. They go an extra step. They don't even tell their characters what the hell, like their actors, what the hell is going on until they get the scripts and like right when the season happens. Like poor David Hopper or David Harbour or whatever, always getting asked about like, are you dead? Like, have you gotten a call back? Like, are you going back to the show?
Right.
And it's like he's not gonna come out and be like, "Yeah, I'm good. We're yeah." I come back in episode 3. Like that's not gonna happen.
Right.
But yeah, that's why I love the Duffer Brothers. They do that really well, and they leave it open to interpretation too. They don't always answer every question every season. Like Dr. Brenner, he still hasn't returned. There still hasn't been a hint, and if there has been, I have a feeling they're gonna be like, "Oh yeah, we did hint once that he was still around, but no one
Yeah.
caught it." And I hope they do
Yeah,
that.
and
That would be
they're all going to
awesome.
be like little things, like when, if you've ever seen, which I'm sure you have, but if anyone else has ever seen like The Sixth Sense, and they're like, "Oh, well, you're supposed to know because the door is red. The only door he can't open is red." It's like, the fuck does that mean?
Right?
Like,
Yeah. Like, cause I hope like at one point, I don't think if Dr. Brenner is alive, I don't think he went back to the group of scientists he was with. I think he's off on his own, like gone mad. And I have a feeling if he was attacked by the Demigorgon, it's taking this long for him to come back, he's gonna be like deformed or like been in a coma or some
two-faced.
shit. Or imagine if he got powers somehow from like the Demigorgon sucking on his face or some shit.
And then he'd see like everything that he put 11 through.
Or if he's another Will.
Oh yeah.
Like if he's been in a coma this whole time because he was attacked. Like he was attacked. He must have been hurt. There's no way he got away without being hurt a little bit. Because the Demigorgon literally lunged at, like face first at him. So like a few years go by,
Mouth
that
vagina first.
and that would make sense if he was like recuperating. Because for something that intense, like ripping half your face off or something, yeah, I think it would take a little while to heal and like recuperate and like he'd probably go crazy. Oh, imagine if that was what the flashbacks were in the next season of him getting better and like regaining his sanity or some shit. Oh, that'd be so good. All right.
Sorry, someone sent me something and I got like sucked into it. I'm not trying to.
Do you want to wrap it up?
No, it's fine. I mean, if you want to, that's fine. But I am just confused.
At
They sent me something about Johnny Depp and Amber Heard.
oh yeah, I've seen all that. It's trending on the Twitter.
Yeah, they sent it to me, and I haven't really looked into it. But yeah, they brought it to my attention while I'm streaming. I'm like, don't do that.
But yeah, those are all the theories I can really think of right now.
Yeah, me too. I didn't really have any other theories about anything. I do think that um Hopper is in the Russian cell at the end of season 3, and I think they nabbed him and think that he's way more involved than he is, and they're gonna like try to push him for, answers, and of course he's not gonna have any. But he's gonna try to like make shit up to try to save his own life, and then he'll learn more about the process during the whole thing.
Mm-hmm.
And then once he escapes or gets broke out or whatever, then he's gonna have like way answers for like everybody, all the other characters.
It'd be weird if he was all the way in Russia, though.
And then Joyce and Hopper can get married like they're fucking supposed to be.
No.
Shut your whore mouth.
No.
Look, Becky.
No. Alright, I think that's 3 questions answered.
I think you're just really fucking upset about Bob.
Excuse me. I'm upset about Alexi, okay? Alright, so yeah, that does it. I think we've been talking enough about Stranger Things. I'm excited for season 4. It comes out, what, June, July this year?
July.
Hell yeah. Hurry up with that shit.
I think. Hold on, let me see what
Hurry
the
up.
release date is exactly. Right here. Let me ask Alexa about Alexi. I should nickname it Alexi. Alexa, when's the release date for Stranger Things season 4? No. Okay.
Well, you heard it,
She
folks.
said?
No, I did not.
She said Stranger Things season 1 premiered on, and I'm like, okay. Stranger Things season 4 release date. Yeah, July. They're aiming for, I guess.
Right
It doesn't
on.
give like an exact date.
Sons of bitches. Yeah, they're
Oh
probably.
wait,
Oh.
has Stranger Things season 4 been confirmed? Yes, Netflix confirmed. Oh, on September 30th, that there will be a 4th season. Of course, we don't know anything about season 5 for quite a while, so it doesn't confirm or deny.
Yeah, I think they've done that with every season of Stranger Things. They don't confirm a new season until that one airs. But yeah, this
Apparently,
summer.
filming didn't start for this new season until January 2020, so the month that just passed.
Yeah, but they film them pretty quick.
Yeah.
And they go on tour and shit. Must be so much fun being those kids. Cause they go on tour and they do all like the talk shows, even like YouTube talk shows like Hot Ones and stuff. They just travel together and have a blast. Like, ugh. Anyway, that does it for our Stranger Things episode. We've answered our questions 3. Tune in again in 2 weeks, where we will be talking about
tuna.
That's right. We'll be talking about tuna.
Yeah.
What our favorite brand of tuna is. What our favorite tuna dish is.
Casserole.
And our third question will be, what the hell does tuna have to do with a geek podcast? All right.
Because we're all poor millennials and we eat tuna and ramen, okay?
Not together, of course.
Yeah, you put the tuna in the ramen. You get like the shrimp ramen and then you put the tuna in it.
So until next time.
Get, like the canned chicken and put it in the ramen.
See, that's better. Your cutest enemy over there. I'm RedOnBrandon. This was bi-weekly chats.
My chat stick around because I'm not quite going anywhere yet.
Oh yeah, stick around in my chat too.